Hey Psychthoughts fans, I thought for a while maybe we start talking about different people in psychology and kind of go through those different categories. So today I thought, man, we'll start talking about somebody that I like a lot. As a child, he was a loner. Oh yes, he didn't really get along with a lot of people. He basically pioneered some of the most complex theories of psychology that we know today. He was interested in the occult. He was a notorious womanizer, and he had a personal journal that he kept that basically didn't get published for years later because of the material in it. And he was best friends with Freud until he pissed Freud off and Freud blackballed him for the rest of their lives and they never spoke. Yes, today on Psychthoughts, let's talk a little bit. Let me introduce you to Carl Gustav Jung. This is Psychthoughts. Carl Jung was born in Switzerland, okay, and he got his medical degree and mainly worked in Zurich in Switzerland. Jung basically started out and doing things, and then he kind of got interested with Freud in psychoanalysis and psychiatry. And he worked with patients and did copious amounts of work. I mean, a lot of research trying to find out what was going on. Jung developed ideals and methods of inquiry that have deepened and broadened our understanding of personality, psychodynamics, and the shaping energies of social history. One time his ideals and methods of investigation have profoundly influenced humanities, the arts, everything, religious studies. He is a man that did all. Like I said in the introduction, he was interested in the occult. He brought a lot of complex ideals to us, archetypes, personas, the shadow, which we will talk about later in a video, introverts, extroverts, and the collective unconsciousness. And who can forget synchronicity? Fantastic Police album. Wait a minute, that's not the right thing. Synchronicity is something else. Jung believed that most of our questions, most of our suffering arises from distress of the human soul, okay? Which is original meaning from Greek word psyche, where we get the word psychology, the study of the soul or study of the mind. His work basically invited a new form of dialogue between the ego consciousness and the soul. Okay? So Jung was very big about trying to get both of them to be in agreement. And he did this through dreams and so forth. The dialogue basically served as a form of psycho-spiritual agreement or psycho-spiritual enlargement, in which one is able to contain more opposites rather than be split by them. I don't know. Some things about Carl's theories are really out there. But when we talk about a lot of his work, when we look at it and about Jungian psychology, it basically moves in a movement of more personal authority. That basically said that we have this struggle that we're trying to get along with authority and in society, and we're trying to build more a stable relationship. He took this concept even farther when he talked about his collective unconsciousness, which is a huge area. It's kind of the area that him and Freud kind of split on. Basically, he said we described how timeless realms of human psyche links us to our ancestors. Yeah. And he used a lot of symmetrism, he used a lot of symbolism, and he used a lot of religion to show how this worked and how that shapes our cultures and our personal responsibilities and the demands of our daily life. His work is basically a summons to personal accountability in the face of these complexities of life. While basically we're thinking about all these things in culture, Jung also noticed that choices and their consequences constitute an operating spiritual perspective. So what we think and what we do and the choices we make have a huge impact upon us, on all of our archetypes and also on the shadow. There's the shadow again. Ooh. Jung's psychology invited a deeper dialogue with oneself. Okay, it's not a simple thing. Oh, this is what's bothering me. It was a much deeper more looking at yourself and trying to understand what your unconscious and your conscious and your collective unconscious have to say about yourself. And I also want to know how we relate to others, the collective society, with history, and whatever transcendental energies move us and move history. A lot of things that Carl did was very unique. As I said earlier, he had a very colorful life. Him and Freud were best friends when he first got introduced to psychoanalysis. They said in a book that he spent nearly 10 hours talking straight with Freud, digesting all of his theories about the unconsciousness. Over the period of time, he did therapy, and he also was very much, what's the word, unethical. Yeah, he slept with a lot of his patients before and during therapy. He had numerous affairs. Like I said earlier, he was a womanizer. He also kept a personal diary of all of his thoughts and looking upon himself and thinking about meditation and transcendental thought. Later, this book and journal was never published until later in 60, 70 years later after he had died. It is known as the Red Book. The Red Book, you can find it on Amazon. It is a very unique book. Just for those who love trivia, the Red Book can be seen in the scene in the original Stanley Kubrick, The Shining. It is sitting on the desk of the hotel manager when he's interviewing Jack. And you go back and watch that scene, you see a big red book, and that's because he has a lot of ideals that Stephen King put forward about us being connected and the shining and psychic abilities and other dimensions. Yeah. When him and Freud had a falling out, Freud basically said, I'm never going to talk to you again, and they were very childish, and they never spoke a word. It'd be like you and your best friend deciding, I'm never speaking to you again, and you literally didn't. He didn't even speak to Freud, as Freud was dying of cancer when he was in London. Carl never forgave him, and Freud never forgave him neither, and they blackballed him. So come with me as we talk a little more in detail about Carl Jung and his ideals, as we talk about his theory about individualism, and we talk about the shadow, the part of our personality that we kind of don't want to talk about, but it's there. And we kind of look into a lot of his other ideals and theories that make him very unique and a very famous person in psychology. As always, if you like this channel, please like and subscribe. You don't want to miss any of the upcoming videos that we have about Jung. Until next time, remember, psychology is everywhere. Later.